shit. What is that, salmon?
Slamming salmon.
What are you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna, after I budget here, I'm gonna grill it.
Nice. Was it half a salmon?
One side, yeah.
Did it have a head on it?
It did not.
When I was a little kid, we used to go to fish markets. I don't know why we used to go to fish markets.
Cause that's what you did.
Did we? Is that
yeah, like that's what it was, man.
Like we went to San Francisco.
Butchers and fish market.
Like I guess it was vacation. We go to San Francisco, and I always wanted fish with the eyes in it. Like that was always like I remember seeing like trout and shit, and they always had the eyes in it. And I always wanted fish with eyes, and my parents never would buy fish with eyes.
A lot of survival stories at Ocean, they say like after like the 20th day out there, like and eating fish, if they're lucky enough to be able to catch fish, that the eyes were like the best part. They'd like
that's where the electrolytes are. Eyes.
They'd save them for dessert. They said.
Like I've eaten a rabbit. I've probably eaten 20 rabbit eyeballs, but they're bitter. They say that they have more electrolytes than back. You know that's what they always said. A rabbit eyeball has more electrolytes than a bottle of Gatorade. And you crunch it, and it was kind of like it was hard. Not hard. It was hard to rupture it, but once you ruptured it, it would pop in your mouth, and it had a bitter taste to it. Is that?
How is that possible, though?
What's that?
That a rabbit eye can have more electrolytes than a Gatorade bottle, being that just the sheer volume.
You went through your school, did they not tell you that?
Yeah, but I just now that I'm hearing it, I'm just like, how the fuck could it possibly have more electrolytes than a Gatorade bottle? So in sniper school, we used to do a little like during Hell Week. They would go 4 days without eating.
Yeah.
They go 4 days without eating, and it was movement the whole time. So they were fucking starving. And so we bring them in. We bring them in the classroom. We turn the heat up, and me and Sperling would start interrogating them. We just start asking them questions, like I told you, sleep deprivation, and they will start telling you things that they never remember telling that they told you. Anyways. But part of that was Sperling gave him a class on how to gut and clean a certain animal. Well, he lived close to it was a feeder place where you could buy feeder animals for certain things. And so like we do ducks, rabbits, we did a goose once. That was a mess. And then this year, the year I'm thinking of is he couldn't get any of that stuff because it was off season or something. So he brought in 4 catfish complete, right? Yeah. And then gave a class on how to cut and clean them up and all that stuff, but left the heads on them. And we had this kid that was from, I don't know, somewhere back here, but total redneck, and was like, he was like, this is going to be some good eating, this is going to be some good eating. But then we had one of the corpsmen was going through the course at the same time, and the whole time they're doing all this, he's like, he like won't do it.
After the deprivation.
Even after the deprivation, he's like, I can't eat that. And so they basically, there's not enough because there's so many students. There's really not like when I say, oh, they brought 3 catfish, you're like, oh, okay, there's not enough for everybody to eat. So it basically every time it just goes into a boil pot and a broth is made. Well, because they had the heads, they cut the heads off. They boiled all that stuff too. They cooked it all up, but they cut the heads off. And then they start divvying it out, and everybody's eating. And there was a head left in the pot. So old boy grabs the head out. The redneck guy that's Doc's partner grabs the head out, and he's like, "Oh man, this is the best eating right here. All the good stuff is in here." And he starts tearing this thing apart. And he immediately, Doc is sitting right there. He immediately goes, boop, sucks the eyeball out, and he's like, "The eyeball is good." And Doc is just like, you can see him. He's like, and he goes, guy's like, "Doc, I saved you an eyeball. This is where everything is, right here in the eyeball." And he could not do it. And he held it out for like maybe it seemed like a long time, but it was only a couple seconds. He's like, "You want that eyeball?" And you could see Doc just turning green. He's like, "Can't do it." And he's just like, kid just pulls it back, and he's like, pops that eyeball out, and like, this is good stuff.
Good stuff.
Oh man, it was good to go.
They would give kids rabbits, and they'd carry the rabbits around in their rucksack, and then rather than eat the rabbit while they're fucking starving, half of those motherfuckers would keep that fucking rabbit as alive.
That was awesome, man. We did some good shit. Like, they wanted to get rid of it. So they wanted, because technically we did not have a survival instructor, a certified survival instructor. And so they're like, you don't need to teach that. You don't need to teach that. And I'm like, Sperling is as certified as it's going to get, man. He's been doing this for 100 years. I guarantee he could teach the class to those guys up there. And so the gunner's like, well, I got to see this. So he comes down to the riverbed where we're doing this portion. And this time we had rabbits. And because the gunner was there, I had brought my camera guy, and I'm like, you got to videotape all this so, you know, we haven't documented that the gunner was down here. And so you'd always pick, when it came time, because they're outside of the fish, rabbits and all that stuff, ducks, geese, they were always alive. And so we'd make a student kill them in order to, before they could eat. And you'd always pick the guy. There's always those guys. It got more and more prevalent as we went on, but there was always that guy that's never killed anything. And so you'd be like, hey, you're going to kill this rabbit. And Sperling would give a little quick class on how you do it and shit. He'd be like, this is how you do it. And this is the humane way and all that shit. And so, so Gunner is standing like right where you're at.
Yeah.
And this kid is right here with the rabbit, and he takes the rabbit and he gives it a flick, but doesn't do it hard enough.
Trying to break its neck.
Yeah, he's like turned around, like he won't look at it. He like gives it this flick, and everybody's like, "It's not dead!" And you know the rabbit's kicking, and he starts swinging this rabbit like this, swinging this rabbit like that's gonna do it.
There's rabbit piss going everywhere.
And that piss and shit is flying all over, and
on the gunner.
It's going just straight down through Gunner like that, just straight. Gunner's getting all over him, and my corpsman is videotaping the whole thing, right? And so finally, Sperling's like, all right, come over here, and he fucking shows him how to kill the rabbit. The dude kills the rabbit. And so we're you know, they finish everything up, and I see Gunner, and he's walking like this from his face and shit, and he goes, he's like, as long as you have that videotape, you can keep doing this class. I will never say anything again. Get walking.
He didn't make you give him the tape, huh?
No. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Those were the good days. Good days. Back when the Marine Corps was...
Are you preparing that salmon any special way for Jeff's?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's turning it into
raw. I'm turning it into
cow.
Kansas City.
He's turning it into a Kansas City.
I found a bone in New York for him.
Found it.
There's no cows in New York.
Where does one find a bone in?
There's no cows in New York.